Hi, I'm Andrew. Welcome back to Splashpage, where we're constantly talking about Invincible. Why? Because it's awesome. It's constantly subverting expectations, and you guys seem to love it, so we're going to keep talking about it because it's fun. Today we're going to take a closer look at the fight from episode 5 between Invincible and his new criminal buddy Titan when they go head to head to a bunch of other heads with Machine Head and his crew. First, I want to thank everybody who subscribed. You guys are all amazing. It's been so much fun these last few months. Now, let's jump into that fight. So let's set the stage. Meet Titan, real name unknown, voiced by Mahershala Ali. He has the ability to cover his body in rock, and he can take a punch or a bullet without so much as flinching. He's introduced as a low-level thug working for an unnamed crime boss we later find out to be the aptly named Machine Head. I would say he's the least creatively named villain on the show, but his hired guns, who aren't named on the show but are in the comics, include Magmaniac, Tether Tyrant, and the Furnace. So at best it's a tie. We learn Titan's a bad guy, but he's not that bad. He occasionally helps the people he's just hurt, giving money for shelter to a guy whose house he just burnt down, and letting a deadbeat who owes money have 2 extra days when he finds out the guy has a daughter. Now let's meet Titan's boss, Machine Head. What do we know about Mr. Head? Not much. We know that he has a computer chip in his head that Titan stole for him that gives him the ability to see quantum probabilities, which as far as I can tell means I know more things than you. Like he knew when Titan and Invincible would crash through his Italian maple doors, and he knew that he wouldn't be able to fight them off on his own, so he called in a couple of friends. Let's meet the other combatants. First we have Kursk, the evil lightning version of the speedster Red Rush. Next up is Battle Beast, the scourge of the Twin Galaxies, who is a totally killer cat man of some kind. There's Magmaniac, a dude made out of lava. Because if he was made out of magma, he'd be underground. That's just kind of how magma works. And finally, the Furnace, a humanoid who looks like a furnace. Okay, stick with me. I know these names are dumb, but those are their names, so I'm going to keep saying them. And sitting calmly at his desk is Machine Head, watching the battle with his second-in-command Isotope, who has the power to teleport himself and others. The fight starts off as you might expect. Invincible and Kursk, the lightning guy, exchange a couple punches. Battle Beast and Titan do the same. Magmaniac double-teams Mark with Kursk for a combined fire-electricity attack, then Tether Tyrant grabs Mark by the head and blinds him, smashing him into a couple of walls. Battle Beast smashes Mark through the ceiling, at which point we can see, off in the distance, Omni-man floating high above the city, watching the mayhem. At this point, we don't know if he's going to actually help his son, but he seems pretty content to just keep an eye on the fight from afar. Already it looks like this fight is over. I mean, that was real quick. Invincible is being held by Tether Tyrant, and Titan is repairing his rock skeleton before getting a lava blast straight to the chest. Kursk re-electrifies Invincible, who's still trapped by Tether Tyrant. Watching Titan's rock skeleton melt off of him gives Invincible the burst of energy he needs to break free from his tethers and try to change the flow of battle. Let's pause here for a second and go back to the last time this happened, in episode 2, when Mark and the Guardians fought the Flaxons. The Flaxons covered Mark in some kind of a goo, gluing him to one of their ships. There he sits, helpless, watching his team losing the fight. When the Flaxon general grabs Eve, whose face is covered in some kind of a Flaxon disc, and is about to shoot her in the head, Mark finds a burst of strength and anger and frees himself from his bonds to save Eve. They set up an expectation, a kind of pseudo-superpower of Invincible's, that when it looks like all is lost, he can summon an extra burst of strength in anger and overcome his immediate threat. And that's kind of what it looks like is going to happen here, right? That's what they taught us to believe. Invincible breaks free from the tethers and gets in a couple of good hits, until he attacks Battle Beast. Invincible is angry, but he's outnumbered and outmatched. But he's learned from before blind rage has kind of worked out for him. Until now. Battle Beast takes out Invincible with very little effort. Battle Beast is no Flaxen. While Tether Tyrant takes care of Titan, Battle Beast bashes Invincible into the ground while the rest of Machine Head's crew stands around and watches. Once again, this battle is over, except for one thing. The new Guardians of the Globe come bursting through the wall to save the day. Because nobody makes an entrance through a door anymore. So far in this fight, we've seen two incredibly unmatched teams. Machine's Head crew has been wiping the floor with Invincible and Titan, even after Mark's epic rage attack. So maybe now the teams are fair. We've got Robot Rex, Monster Girl, Samson, Dupli-Kate, and Shrinking Ray entering the fray, thanks to an anonymous call to Cecil that obviously came from Omni-man, who was floating high above the fight, still not getting involved himself. Knowing what we know about Omni-Man now after episode 8, it's been suggested that it's possible that Omni-Man didn't call in the new Guardians to save his son, but instead called them all in hoping that they would die. It's possible he just wanted to throw off the balance of power even further of Earth's superheroes. But no matter what Omni-Man was thinking, here's what actually happened. The new Guardians burst through the wall in true superhero fashion, taking a moment to make their presence known. Okay, maybe not the best battle tactic, but hey, this is a cartoon. We need to give them a little leeway when they make their entrance. They immediately jump into battle and everyone starts taking shots at everyone else. Robot kicks Battle Beast. Furnace charbroils Robot. Monster Girl hits Furnace. Magmaniac blasts Monster Girl. Rex blasts Magmaniac. Everyone's taking a shot backing up the last guy to get hit. Samson dodges Battle Beast and the Kates catch Kursk by surprise. Shrinking Ray puts a fist through the Tether Tyrant's face and both teams take a second to regroup. Monster Girl takes a shock attack from Reverse Flash, Kursk. Finally, seeing Monster Girl in trouble, Robot starts giving orders, sending teammates to where they need to be on the battlefield. Maybe he should have done this from the beginning, but it took that hit to Monster Girl for Robot to start laying out the battle commands. But before Kate can get to Monster Girl, Tether Tyrant, collects them all up and smashes her into a wall, killing off one of the duplicates. Black Samson, hovering in his Iron Man boots, shoots at Tether Tyrant without watching his back, getting taken down by Battle Beast. So Robot starts shooting, an ability of his I don't think we've even seen before, and performs an incredibly clean gymnastics routine, hopping off the walls on the back of Battle Beast, eventually taking a club right to the face, knocking him into the ground where Magmaniac can heat him up a little bit. Rex explodes the lava creature, only to be surprised when he reforms right behind him. Caught off guard, he takes a backhand from Battle Beast. Shrinking Ray attacks from behind, but the Beast is ready and bloodies her nose too. And it's all over now except for the cleanup. Battle Beast, the obvious MVP of this fight, walks calmly up to Invincible, coming in for the killing blow. But here comes Samson to save the day. Except his gauntlet is kind of busted and Battle Beast smashes Invincible deeper into the floor, blood spraying everywhere. This is where the teamwork of the Guardians really starts to fall apart and leaves the most lasting consequences of this fight. One at a time, the remaining team members take their shots at Battle Beast. Samson pulls an Invincible, screaming in anger, dropping his suit and running headlong at the creature that could have dealt with everyone here without the help of his poorly named comrades. And what happens couldn't be more obvious. Battle Beast catches his arm, looks at it curiously, and snaps it like a carrot stick before tossing Samson's body across the room. Monster Girl, who has apparently been being electrocuted this whole time, smashes Kursk into the wall and takes her own run at Battle Beast to similar effect. At least she gets a couple of good punches in first before having her head smashed apart like a watermelon. This infuriates Robot, who we now know is in love with Monster Girl. Before, when Samson attacked Battle Beast on his own, Robot tried to call him off. But now that Monster Girl is down, Robot stands up and shoots a beam of energy out of his chest, knocking back Battle Beast so the team can try to recoup. It's one of the few things that did any kind of damage to Battle Beast. This is it, Act 3. The part where the good guys turn it around and start to make their comeback. Right? The team actually starts looking good. Rex tosses some explosive alpha bits for Dupli-Kate to stick to the furnace, bursting through his metal frame and allowing some of his insides to fall out. Magmaniac is a little harder to take down, but they hit him from all sides at once with explosives courtesy of Rexsplode, a couple of kidney punches from Robot, and Shrinking Ray exploding right out of his head. All good techniques, except maybe Robot's kidney punches. He's supposed to be a genius, right? And he punches a pile of lava in the back. Listen, at least they're starting to work together. Dupli-Kate keeps Kursk's attention long enough for Robot to take a swipe at him, grabbing at his hand and throat, and possibly using the heat from punching Magmaniac in the back to burn Kursk. I take it back. Robot is a genius. Now Tether Tyrant is on the run as Rex tosses more explosives his way. Rope Boy looks a little confused up until Shrinking Ray grabs him by the throat and chokes him out. Luckily for everyone involved, it's this moment that Battle Beast decides that he's done with this fight and backs away through a portal to wherever he came from before Isotope teleported him into this fight. As he says, there's no honor in killing insects. Personally, I find it a little weird that Battle Beast chooses this point in the battle to leave when the fight is finally turning in the Guardians' favor. To be fair, he did just kill 3 of them, and I'm sure he could have easily killed the rest of them. I guess he took that last burst of energy to assess the situation and decide that this fight was beneath him. Either way, luckily for everybody else, he teleports back to wherever he came from. Finally, the battle is over. All of the enemies and a lot of the heroes are down for the count. As things quiet down, Mr. Head calls for his second-in-command, Isotope, to teleport them out of there. But Isotope is nowhere to be seen. Rexsplode takes this moment to pop him in his metal skull and finish the fight for good. While Mark gasps for breath, Titan, oh right, Titan, where the hell's he been this entire time? Apologizes to Mark and walks off looking pretty beat up himself, but not as bad as Mark, or Samson, or Monster Girl. Cecil's crew comes in for cleanup, hitting the eject button on Machine Head's head, taking the chip back, and right before Mark passes out, he sees his father floating off in the distance. Or does he? As far as Mark knows, this might be a hallucination. Would having Omni-Man there have turned the fight in the other direction? Maybe. Possibly not. Battle Beast is, well, a beast. And we'll just have to wait for future episodes to see if Omni-Man and Battle Beast ever fight each other to compare their strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, Omni-Man didn't want to join this fight because he could have at any moment. He was floating right there above the battle. So was this a test for Mark? Or was this a calculated plan by Omni-Man to try to kill off the new Guardians of the Globe? Either way, this was a fight Invincible and the Guardians could not have won. Mostly because of Battle Beast, but also because Titan wasn't exactly telling Mark the whole truth. Sometimes the only way to win a fight is to not show up. But once the Guardians did show up, Titan just stood back and waited for the fight to be over while the rest of the combatants beat each other to a bloody pulp so he could take over Machine Head's syndicate and take the corner office for himself. Titan says he wants to make the city better for a lot of people, but only time will tell. This entire fight was a learning experience for Mark, and thankfully he lived through it to learn something from it. He's still young and idealistic. He tells his parents he thinks he can tell when someone's lying to him, but maybe now he knows he can't always tell. And as his mother told him, sometimes people aren't always what they seem. His father's advice, on the other hand, sounds pretty harsh in the moment, but his words turn out to be prophetic. If you help this guy, you're going to learn a very painful lesson. Hopefully Mark remembers this the next time somebody asks him for help. But hopefully he also remembers his mother's other advice, helping someone is never beneath you. Thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. We're going to be coming out with new material all the time. So if you like the video, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.